My name is Kara, and I'm with the American Museum of Western Art, the Anschutz collection, here to talk about a painting by Marsden Hartley. This piece is an oil painting called New Mexico Recollections No. 15, painted circa 1923. Marsden Hartley was born in Lewiston, Maine in 1877 to a family of English immigrants. Hartley showed an aptitude and interest in the arts from an early age and would pursue it for all of his life. His family would move to Ohio when Hartley was 16 years old, giving him the opportunity to study at the Cleveland School of Art. Hartley excelled at the Cleveland School of Art and would take private lessons with several local Ohio artists. His success at the school would lead to a trustee financing his endeavors to study in New York for 5 years. In 1899, Hartley moved to Manhattan and eventually attended the National Academy of Design, returning to Maine during his summers to paint landscapes. In 1903, Hartley was exposed to the work of Giovanni Segantini, a neo-impressionist who is known for coining the Segantini stitch, which are short, slanting brushstrokes used to compose the image. Hartley was inspired by this painting style and would paint many landscapes of Maine in this style. In the summer of 1907, Hartley took a job at Green Acre, a utopian mystic community in Eliot, Maine. Here, Hartley was introduced to mysticism and spiritualism and would continue to study and explore these topics in his work for much of his life. In 1909, Hartley would receive his first solo exhibition at Alfred Stieglitz's 291 Gallery. Stieglitz offered the show to Hartley only a few days after meeting him because he was so impressed by Hartley's landscapes of Maine. Meeting Stieglitz would catapult Hartley's career, and Stieglitz would become Hartley's confidant and dealer for over 30 years. Stieglitz would fund Hartley's first trip to Europe, traveling to Paris first and later Berlin. While in Europe, Hartley was exposed to the work of many European modernists that greatly influenced his work. Hartley was in Berlin during the early stages of World War I and had cultivated a close and romantic relationship with a German officer who was killed in battle. Hartley was completely set aside himself with grief, and his most famous series of paintings, the War Motif series, would be created to commemorate the officer and the war. Forced out of Europe a year later due to the war, Hartley returned to the United States and would not settle down. For 20-plus years, Hartley would travel throughout the US, Canada, and Europe before settling in Bangor, Maine 6 years before his death in 1943. This piece, New Mexico Recollections No. 15, is one of 24 paintings in the series that Hartley did after visiting New Mexico from 1917 to 1918. The series was created and completed several years after Hartley visited New Mexico, while he was in Berlin. A shift in Hartley's style is seen in these works, as his brushstrokes become more elongated and almost windswept, as if capturing the wind and air of the New Mexico desert. The palette for this piece, as well as the other paintings in the series, appears more somber with the use of muted tones, compared to Hartley's use of brighter tones in his War Motif series. Some scholars have viewed this change in color palette as a representation of Hartley's dissatisfaction and uneasiness in Berlin. However, Hartley wrote several letters to his dealer, Alfred Stieglitz, while in Berlin, describing the series as simple and calmed down. Quote, "I have calmed down generally in composition and general effects. I think you'll like the simplicity of the new work. I think they are, for the first time in my life, almost without me in them." End quote. The thinly applied paint of earthy and muted tones adds to the overall feel that this painting is a memory of a place and time, rather than an exact replication of that place. As stated by Hartley, these paintings were not meant to represent himself, but simply the New Mexico land. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about an artist and artwork in the American Museum of Western Art.